As I was standing outside the gates of Cedar Point, watching Top Thrill 2 launching thrill seekers multiple times, hundreds of feet into the sky, I started to ponder an interesting thought. When is it too much? Like, will there be a day when there are too many roller coasters and the demand will dwindle down to barely a drip? For coaster enthusiasts, this is like talking about the apocalypse. How could I ever say such a thing? Too many roller coasters? Well, it's an interesting concept for sure, one that we might have to deal with someday. Maybe sooner than we would hope. If we rewind back to the late 80s, early 90s, amusement parks were all competing with each other, trying to outdo the last guy. Cedar Point opens Magnum XL 200, the first continuous circuit roller coaster to break the 200-foot barrier. Well, hold my beer, because Kennywood goes a step taller with Steel Phantom, which is now known as Phantom's Revenge. It edges past Magnum with a 228-foot drop, reaching record-breaking speeds of 85 miles per hour. Busch Gardens Tampa unleashes Montu, an incredible inverted roller coaster that shatters records, but only to be topped the following year by its sister park, Busch Gardens Williamsburg, with Alpengeist, an even taller and faster inverted roller coaster. Basically, you break the record today, and someone else shatters that feat the next day. Even if we start to push these record-breaking feats off to the side, eventually, well-established theme parks will either run out of room or maybe have no reason to build another massive roller coaster. Consider Cedar Point once again, the roller coaster capital of the world. The park technically has 17 roller coasters, and sure, they still have some land to work with to build yet another roller coaster, but would that be in their best interest? For all of us coaster nerds, this is an easy yes, but at some point, will a new roller coaster continue to expand their yearly guest growth, or just become white noise amongst the park's incredible lineup of attractions? The truth is, you can continue to outgrow what your audience is demanding. At some point, you will have to pivot, try a different avenue. Maybe it's more family entertainment, food offering, better theming, or quite possibly refurbishments to already existing attractions. It wasn't too long ago that I made a video called Upgrade, Not Replace. Basically, the gist is that I think that parks are starting to put more resources into their already existing attractions, instead of building new ones. Cedar Point converted Top Thrill Dragster into Top Thrill 2, Busch Gardens Williamsburg put Loch Ness Monster under the knife, improving the theming and replacing some of the aging track with brand new steel. It's always less or expensive to invest in what you currently have than starting over with something brand new. If a theme park isn't getting the return on investment with a new roller coaster, then save the cash, fix up an older attraction, advertise like it's a new attraction. You might not get the same publicity as you would from a new roller coaster, but it will still grab the attention of your audience. Food events are also becoming the rage at parks. Even smaller regional properties are getting into the action, like Kennywood. They have been doing their Bites and Pints food festival for a few years, and it continues to be a big hit with their guests. Just set up a temporary booth and serve food that you typically wouldn't get at a theme park. Family entertainment has also been on the rise. I talked in length on this topic with my era of the family roller coasters. Basically, a ton of theme parks have been focusing on smaller additions geared towards the family. This trend has been gaining momentum, and there is a flurry of new family coasters anticipated to open this year. What about theming, or more general term, presentation? I already mentioned both Top Thrill 2 and Loch Ness Monster with the new theming and presentation. Also, some parks are putting much needed improvements into their buildings, which brings me back to Kennywood once again. They have been fixing up many of their rides and structures throughout the park, and I think it's making a positive impact with their guests. When King's Dominion opened Tumbilly, not only did they build their coaster, but improved the theming for that section of the park with that jungle expedition. Having something new and fresh is always going to be more appealing than a rundown, sketchy-looking structure. Unless it's super rundown and then maybe it's all sort of artsy and whatnot, but anyways. Back to the original question. When is it too much? Not only could we apply this question to how many roller coasters, but to how many of certain types of roller coasters. We all love a good Giga Coaster, but not every park is going to build one. They take up a ton of land and cost a pretty penny. From what I could gather, these types of coasters start at $30 million, and that was based on prices from like 4 years ago. Something your smaller regional park isn't going to fork over. You can take this same thought process and apply it to other coaster models, like how about the new surf coaster over at SeaWorld Orlando? I really like this new model. Sure, it's the evolution of the original stand-up coaster, but it's an excellent ride. As much as I would love to see more renditions of this model, there also has to be a demand for said product. Just take a look at Thunderbird at Holiday World. This is an exciting launch wing coaster that many coaster enthusiasts were sure would become the new hot item. Well, 9 years later and not another launch wing coaster. Of course, the rumors at King's Dominion are pointing towards a wing launch coaster, but that's not the momentum that we were expecting from such an allegedly popular model. The truth is, how many launching roller coasters can your park have? Well, the answer right now is at least 4, since Busch Gardens Williamsburg has 4, but what about other models? Could you see 2 inverted roller coasters at one park? What about having multiple roller coasters where the focus is on inversions? At some point, your audience will demand something different, something special, and when considering a theme park like Cedar Point, how do you buy a Christmas present for someone who already has everything? So, in conclusion here, could we be entering a recession of sorts with roller coasters? I think that it's a real possibility with many parks here in the United States. I think the amount of new roller coasters opening in the next couple years might dwindle considerably. Thankfully, I don't think this trend will last forever. Eventually, guests will demand more than a simple upgrade to their current attractions, or be satisfied with yet another food festival. At the end of the day, roller coasters are the e-ticket attraction, the ride that gets people into the park. Well, that's all I have for today's content. For those who have stuck around, thanks for listening. Until next time, this is Extreme Thrills.